Hey everybody, Nick here. Have you ever wanted to procedurally generate hundreds of videos in maybe a few minutes? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I'm going to use one of my favorite APIs in the world, Bannerbear, and I'm going to connect it to make.com to essentially allow you to procedurally generate whatever content you want, just using a spreadsheet. If that sounds like something you guys want to learn, then fantastic. This is the video for you. Stay tuned, and let's procedurally generate some video. First up, really want to thank everybody that's joined the community so far. When I recorded the video yesterday, we were at about 150 or so members. Today, we're at 246. So a little over 24 hours, about 100 people in. I'm capping the community strictly at 400 just to let everybody here know. And the reason why is I want to ensure the communication and the discussions are consistently high quality. I also want to ensure that it's manageable for me and that I don't have to degrade the quality that I'm providing people just because of all of the people inside of the group. So that's my goal. I firmly believe this is going to be one of the best automation communities on planet Earth, if not the best automation community on planet Earth. And I really appreciate everybody's help in making that so. This video was suggested by this user here, kamikaze-ub9kz, who asked, I would be really interested in seeing you artificially generate videos based on columns. Please and thank you. And not only am I going to show you how to artificially generate videos based on columns, I'm going to show you how to generate essentially any type of AV content, well, except for just strictly audio, but you'll be able to generate like static images, you'll be able to generate GIFs, and we'll also be able to generate MP4s. The way that we're going to be doing this is using one of the coolest APIs on the planet called Bannerbear. You may or may not be familiar with these guys, but I follow their founder on Twitter, and I just really like their product. These guys are extremely simple. Most other software platforms or APIs that allow you to manipulate images, videos, templates, that sort of thing tend to be really crappy. And out of the 15 or 20 that I could have picked, I picked Bannerbear just because it's basically like one module. The great news is they integrate natively with Make, so we don't even have to do a bunch of API shenanigans, although I am also going to walk you through that just in case you want to do maybe some more advanced features, that sort of thing. What we're going to be doing is, as the video suggestion requests, they say artificially generate videos based on columns. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be feeding in just a bunch of data to a Google Sheet. We're going to pretend, we can pretend anything. Maybe I'll do like real estate listings or something. We're going to pretend that we have some real estate listings here, and then we're going to pull from these real estate listings to populate a template. The template's going to, include the price probably of the listing, maybe some brief words about the listing, maybe like the address or something like that. And then we're actually going to include an image of the background as well. And so we'll generate a bunch of photos that way. If I can find like some videos of houses or that sort of thing, I'll do that as well. And then, I'll show you how to generate like actual full-length videos too. Bannerbear also has a transcription feature, which is pretty cool. So if you guys are doing some type of reels or TikToks or shorts or something like that, you can also just feed in like a video of you talking, like literally me talking to you right now. I can feed that into Bannerbear, and I can automatically transcribe it and then do like a cool subtitle overlay. So honestly, the opportunities here are limitless, and I'm just going to give you a broad overview of what you can do. I'll make sure to keep it simple, but detailed enough that anybody can take any of the stems that I'm going to build out today and then use them to create their own content production machine. Okay, sweet. So without further ado, let's actually get into it. I've got the Bannerbear website right over here, and I've actually already signed in another tab. I believe it's this one here. So I'm just going to close that up. They offer a free trial. I think you get like 30 free API calls or something. Certainly more than enough to test, although note that if you do want to do anything substantial with this, you are obviously going to have to, you're going to have to make an account and pay. I think their prices are like 30, 40, or 50 bucks a month. Okay, so a little bit more than that. As of right now, it's 49 USD a month. But you can produce what looks like 1,000 videos with that, which is pretty neat. Anywho, this is the essentially dashboard of Bannerbear. What I'm going to do here is, the way that Bannerbear works is it's all based off templates. And so essentially they have a bunch of templates that you can choose from, and they also have templates that you can create. But you have to use, I think, some special playground or something like that they have. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use one of their default templates just to get up and running quickly, make sure this is a 4-hour video. And then we'll populate it with photos, and then I'll choose a video template, and then we'll populate with videos. So in order to do so, obviously it's very simple. You just click create a project. And there are a bunch of templates here. Looks like they automatically populate it with a welcome template, which is pretty easy. It says this example template has one text and one image container. Change the data in the API console to try it out. The API console is down here. Essentially, we have some JSON that it is pretending that we are sending to their API, and it allows us just to see how the modifications to this JSON reflect as modifications to the template at the end of it. So for instance, it says this example template is one text and one image container. Change the data in the API console to try it out. This is the text container right here, this object. So you can change this text. I'll do, I don't know, welcome to make money with make.com. The thriving automation community. This is just going to be a giant advertisement. And then we need a face. I don't actually know if I have a picture of my face. Let's jump on LinkedIn here. LinkedIn to the rescue. I want this cheesy photo. The way I made this photo the very first time was really interesting. I had a photo of myself. Oh, where am I? I had a photo of myself doing the same pose, and then I put it through like an AI filter to make it look like it was drawn. And then after I had it drawn, I passed it through some other AI filter. So it ended up being like 3 AI filters, and then I pumped it into Photoshop and made it nice and green. But you can see that we just sent a request to their API essentially using this mock API tool, and then it filled in the text here. So now it says, welcome to make money with make.com, the thriving automation community. It's got my face down in the bottom right-hand corner. The really cool part about Bannerbear that a lot of other platforms don't do is these guys do like almost like responsive text sizing. So if you add way more text in here, they'll just make the text smaller to accommodate, and they try very hard to make sure that the text fits and everything like that. Like this is a little bit bigger font than this, for instance. So yeah, that's pretty neat. You can change a lot of other things too. Obviously we could change the background if we wanted to. We could change the color of the text. We could probably change the font of the text, I believe. Not super clear on exactly where to edit that, but I'm not gonna use this welcome template, so I'm just gonna throw that away. We're gonna go back here. Then I'm gonna delete this. And then we're gonna go create a template, and actually let me go back here. I think there's a quicker and easier way. There, go browse template library. That's what I'm gonna do. Oh, perfect. And so there are tons of templates for real estate, tons of templates for products and everything, which is fantastic. Looks like here is one for some e-commerce product. You can imagine how this is going to have some category up here, then a title, a price, and then maybe a list of features with like a logo and a brand with the image in the background. You could procedurally generate these in like 5 milliseconds using Bannerbear and make.com. You could probably, I don't know, generate an entire product line of images, whether for some type of social media advertisement, PPC, anything like that. But I really like this one here, I think, which is just a price, and then the, wow, it's really windy outside, and then the name of the property, and then like marketed by. And that seems pretty simple, so I'm gonna do this just so that we can see what this might look like in practice. Obviously, this is an image of a house. I know that this is an image of a real house. Sorry, it's a stock image of a house because I've actually used a stock image of a house before. That's funny. And then we have a price up here. So what I'll do then is just to sort of demonstrate how you could do this procedurally, I will create like my thing here will be real estate listings. Actually, let's just call this listings. And then what I'm going to want is I'll want like an image URL. I'll want a price. And let's just do dollars instead of pounds. Let's do the title. And then let's do the realtor. Maybe we'll do like brokerage. Is that what that's called? Real estate brokerage? Real estate brokerage. Yeah, okay. Great, so this is just gonna be my data, and I'm just gonna feed in a bunch of like example data here, and then I'll show you how to manipulate this. Obviously we should test this before I go much further than that. So we have, let me see here. Okay, it looks like they've actually added a sample data feature, so I could just add some sample data in here. Let's just pretend we're doing like Barcelona, and it looks like we can't actually pick like a price. Okay, well that's sort of annoying. Okay, let's do this. Let's do that. Let me just see exactly how the text is laid out on the page. Okay, so that nullum verera was marketed by. That's what that means. So we can actually change what this is. We could potentially make this like a feature or something, but I'm probably just going to use the same phrase like marketed by. But yeah, that looks pretty neat to me. You could probably change the colors too, right? Yeah, color null, background null. I'm just going to keep the same colors because this looks pretty good to me. I mean, it looks reasonably professional. I like it. And then I'm just going to add a bunch of sample data. So I like this sample data, like the fact that this is Barcelona is pretty cool. But actually, why don't I just go into, I don't know, Unsplash or something and do this manually? That'd be better. I'm just going to type in house. Orientation, I'm just gonna say probably portrait. No, that's a little too big. We'll just do landscape. This looks like a nice house, but the plus means that it is licensed, so I can't do that. There you go. These all look nice houses. These look like nice houses. Let's do these three. These are going to be my house images. And then I believe I can just open these in new tabs and then feed the URL in. If I can't, then I'm dumb and a moron. But I think that this is going to work. And I'll do this one as well. And then I'll do this one third. We're going to say that this is, I don't know, $1 million. It's probably way more than $1 million realistically. This one's $2 million and this is $3 million. The name of this house is, I don't know, what does this look like to me? This looks like an estate. I'll call this like Greenwood Estate. This one here looks like a, I don't know, like a mountain villa. We'll call this Mountain Heights. And that last one will be Sunset Lane. That's nice. And then all three of these brokerages will be Nick, let's call it Left Click Brokers. There we go. Okay, great. Got our sample data set up here. And we're going to essentially hook this up to Make now and then pump a bunch of image data in. And I don't know if that link is going to work. You do have to provide like an external link, as you see here. They have an HTTPS cdn.bannerbear. Instead of you having to like deal with uploading an image, downloading an image, they just do it really simply like this. But yeah, let's see where we go from here. Okay, so we do need to connect our Bannerbear account, obviously. So I'm just going to jump in here and see if there's. So they use some API key verification. I think we'll just be able to jump in without that. I'm just going to go to Bannerbear first. You just type in Bannerbear and you'll see a listing here. And then what we want is we want to create an image, I imagine using a template. We'll call this Bannerbear test build May 28, 2024. And I have to plug in my computer. So give me a second here. Sometimes this screws up my video recording, so if that happens, I'm just going to cut out. Okay, I give it like a 50% chance that that video cut out. No, I'm still good. Okay, so now I'm going to pump in an API key. Where do I get this API key from? I need to probably go back here. Oh, there we go. Settings API key in the top right. Project API key is probably the one that I want. I may be mistaken here, but it's probably project API key. I'm gonna paste that puppy in and see what happens. Great, looks good. Now we just have a template UID. It's this blue gold modern elegant real estate listing thing. We can add some modifications in here if you wanted to change layers. This is a little bit beyond the purposes of this video, but you could like change where the text aligns. You could change whether it's on the left or if it's up at the top or if it's up at the bottom. They have a list of preset effects that you can add. You can anchor things. I don't know exactly what that does, but I think it's relatively straightforward when you look through their documentation. Essentially, you have a lot of freedom here, and you can do a lot more than what I'm showing you. I just wanted to keep this as simple as possible. Anywho, okay, great. And then, yeah, so let's pick this. And then we could basically say whether it's transparent or not. We could say whether we're rendering a PDF of the image or not. And then we could also store some metadata, which is interesting. So essentially, if you wanted to store this data elsewhere, you could create a unique identifier here and then pass it to Bannerbear to create the image. Bannerbear would create the image and then it would send it back to this webhook URL that you put up here. I'm realizing actually we do need to add an image here. So image URL is the one that I want. What I'm going to do now that I've set up the Bannerbear module is I'm going to add that Google Sheet module from before. And I'm just going to say like search rows. That should be sufficient. Let me attach the search rows module. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to list all three of these, or search through them essentially. And then I'm going to feed the results of that data into the Bannerbear module. So I need to pick the right account. I'm using this one here. And then this one's called AI something. AI Video Content Calendar. There we go. Sheet name is going to be listings. That's what I'm using for this. If you remember, I changed the name there because I know we're going to use several. And then let's just return one row for now, make sure that everything's hunky-dory. Now it looks like there's an error in here. Let me just verify where that is. Okay, no, it looks good. I'm gonna give this a run. Looks like I got the data from the sheet. Specifically, I got the very first one from Greenwood Estate, which is nice. And then I'm gonna do this like test data. So I'm gonna feed in just one entry initially to this. It looks like the name is required. I don't know exactly why a name is required. Not 100% sure, so let me just jump over here and see. Oh, I got it. The name of the layer we want to change is this one here, image_container. So I'm going to go over here, call this image_container. I'm going to feed in this image URL here from my Google Sheet. Unfortunately, this is not allowing me to because I need to cancel out of this. And I believe I need to reconnect this. Let me just make sure. Yeah, okay, now I have access to it. Sometimes you have to do that, it's unfortunate. But Make doesn't automatically update the variables in previous modules unless you force it yourself. So I got the image URL there, that's nice. Anyway, now I need to add a couple of other modifications. Essentially the way that this API works is you go through your template, which is, I don't know, over here now. Okay, you go through your template, which is over here, and then every modification has a name, and then it has a couple of other variables here, like color and all. So the name of the modification here is image_container, and it has a property called image_URL, which is what we are editing in that modifications tab. So all I'm doing is I'm adding the URL of the image here, and that's going to modify this. But there's another thing that I want to change as well. I want to change the price, and then I want to change the text, right? Then I want to change a few other layers. So I'm just going to go through these sequentially. The second modification I want to make is going to be to price. And the replacement text I want to use to this price is this dollar figure, 1 million. I'm also just going to add a $sign in front of it. So that should be sufficient. I'm going to add another modification, and this time I'm going to add the modification for location, I believe, right? Yes. This one's going to be called location. This time the text is going to be the title of the property, so the name of it, Greenwood Estates. And then this one here is going to be marketed by. And marketed by, I'm just going to keep as marketed by. So I'm basically hard coding the text every time we run through the scenario. And then marketer is going to be the last one. So marketer, and then the text is going to be the name of the brokerage, Left Click Brokers. Okay, great. I'm going to run this thing. Let's see how this goes. Okay, it's generated. Oh, I forgot a webhook URL. That's what happened. Essentially what happens is, because these image generations can take a while, they're not instant. These APIs don't actually run in real time and then return the result at the end. What they do is they send a webhook somewhere, they send a request to Bannerbear's API, and then they tell Bannerbear, hey, when you're done, send a request to this webhook somewhere. And so we're actually responsible for coming up with that webhook. What we need to do is we need to supply that in this API call. That's what if I just make all these smaller here, that's what that webhook URL column or field is for, essentially. So this is going to have to be a minimum of 2 scenarios. So what I'll do is I'll go to example builds, I'll create a new scenario, and I'm just going to call this catch webhook from Bannerbear. And I'm going to create a webhook monitor here, call this custom webhook. I'll say new Bannerbear, generation. I'm going to copy this address to the clipboard, and then I'm going to add it over here. So now when this is done, it's going to send the completed result to this webhook. And I'm just testing this, so I'm just going to run this on its own. And then I'm going to run this scenario one more time. And I'm only using one, entry here, so it's only going to run once. But you'll see, because this was an image, it's done pretty quick. You'll see that the output is image URL, and there's also image URL PNG, image URL JPG, and if you remember, you could also produce a PDF if you wanted to. So I'm just going to copy this image URL and then open it up over here. And then you'll see that, nice, we actually have everything that we wanted. We have that beautiful image, we have $1,000 Greenwood Estate marketed by Left Click Brokers. So why don't we do a couple of other things just while we're here to show you the power of this. You remember how there's like a metadata? So I'm going to call this row number, and then I'm going to feed in this. And so now I'm actually going to be feeding in the number of the row. And then I also want to actually, I don't know if this should be an integer or if there should just be a Like, you know how I'm not wrapping quotes around it? I'm not sure if this should be an integer or if this should be text, but we'll give it a try. And then I'm also going to feed in spreadsheet ID. And if you're very keen, you'll notice that I'm using a different kind of capitalization variable naming convention. Previously I was using camel case, and now I'm using this underscore case. You can use whatever you want. I'm just trying to be fancy. And then I'm going to just test this once again. Same idea with this webhook. I'm going to run it. I'm going to run this request. Bannerbear is processing it, and it's going to send it back to this webhook. And you'll also see that we now have some metadata, and that includes the row number and the spreadsheet ID. Well, the really cool thing about that metadata is now we can parse this. And we could say parse JSON, stick this puppy here. What I'm parsing is I'm parsing this metadata, row number, whatever. Now, just to save on me having to, like, Bannerbear only gives you a certain number of credits or whatever, so I'm not going to actually generate this. I'm actually just going to go into the output and just like go and find the metadata and copy it, and then I'll use it to like hard code into this parse JSON module just to test this first. You'll see that it comes with these new lines. I don't actually know if these new lines are required. Let me see. Yeah, I think that just happens when you present it, like when I went and I clicked, look at the output. So this doesn't actually come through in the text, just an artifact. So when this runs, you won't actually normally have to do that. But anyway, I'm just going to run this parse JSON module, and now we have access to row number and spreadsheet ID, and that should be sufficient for me to go back into my Google Sheet. And then I should be able to update a cell, right over, or maybe even update a row. I mean, you can do it in a couple of other ways. You could like specify the exact sheet that you wanted, and then the exact cell number that you wanted. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Okay, great. So anyway, we have the spreadsheet ID from this variable here. The sheet name, in my case, is just going to be listings, right? Now the cell is going to be interesting. We have the row number, so we know that that's however many down, but we don't actually have a column here with the name of the generation. So I'm going to call this, let's call this generated content. And then notice how this is in the E column, right? Well, if I know that all of my generated content values are going to be in the E column, and I know the row number 2, 3, 4, I have everything that I need to automatically fill out this cell as part of my flow. So I have the row number first, I have the E first, and then I have the row number immediately after. Then it says enter the cell ID, i.e. D3. Well, this is going to be E2 initially, then E3, then E4. And the value that I'm going to put in is just going to be this image underscore URL. And now I basically have like a two-step, pretty like dynamic system, honestly. That passes a minimal amount of information between the two scenarios, and then still manages to do the job. So I'm going to return all 3 of these rows now. I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to run it. And then because I'm running this multiple times, you're not actually going to see it all over here because I'm not going to test the run. I just turn this on instead. But if I go back here, you'll see that it's already dumped in the first result, which is pretty cool. And let me see if there is an issue with the second result, because it should have dumped in like basically immediately. Yeah, no, it just dumped. Oh, right. I'm hard coding the data like a moron. My bad. I've actually feeding all this in. Let me go back to webhook URL. No, metadata over here. My bad. I fed the data in for the same row. So let's delete that, and then let's give that another try. This is now running. I'm going to give this one final run. Let's see if I ran out of tokens or credits or whatever. Okay, there we go. So we have the first, we have the second, we have the third. First was this Greenwood estate, the second was this Mountain Heights estate, and this third one was Sunset Lane. Very, very nice. Very, very beautiful. You'll see just how quickly and easy it is to generate this. Now, what if instead you wanted to weave this into a blog post generator, like one of the ones that I showed you guys before, and instead of just generating these one-off real estate images, you just have a template where you feed in maybe the title of the post and then like an image that you can source randomly if you want, or maybe you source manually, I don't know. But then you use that to generate this very nice templated image, which will always have the dimensions you want, it'll always have the sort of style that you want, and then maybe put that somewhere in your blog post. You could use this to automatically generate infographics based off like data or statistics. Like honestly, the use cases for even just this simple image generator are pretty crazy. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people like using Bannerbear. It's like a one-click sort of integration. Okay, but how exactly do we start creating video now that we know how to create images? Well, fortunately for us, the bedrock of our knowledge is already all good to go. All we need to do is change the image part to a video part, and that's just one module and a couple of minor stylistic adjustments, which was just going to take us a couple minutes. So I'm just going to create a new scenario here called list Google Sheet rows and then create video using Bannerbear instead of image. It's going to do the same thing. We're going to search through the rows. I'm just doing this manually, but you could have just copied the previous scenario if you wanted to. What I'm doing here is AI video content calendar right over there. Sheet name is, oh right, we need to create another sheet, my bad. Let's do video content. Let's just do vacations or something. Yeah, well, let's do vacation videos. That'll be straightforward. Because I just added this in, I have to refresh this. So, oops, that's annoying. We're going to click that little refresh icon. It's just going to go and pull new sheets. So we have vacations instead of listings. And then we're not going to do any of this. Maximum return rows is going to do 1. And then Bannerbear has a create an image module, which is what we used before, but also has create a video module. And that's what we're going to be using now. The create a video module is very similar. There are a couple of differences. The main one being that instead of choosing an image template UID, we're going to choose a video template UID. And then we actually need to add an input media URL. So I'll explain all that right now. Basically, if I go to this My New Project here, Bannerbear separates all of your work into projects. So My New Project, which is the first one that I created, I've gone through and I've created a video example here. I just did that a couple minutes ago when my recording broke, but essentially we have this video example. If I give this a click, you'll see that there is basically this green bar in the background, and this green just represents whatever your video will be. And then there's a dark overlay, and that overlay includes some text. So the way to get to that is if you go to My New Project and then you press create video template. I just went to test this out with sample video template, and that's what it created. There are a bunch of different options for you. You can do an overlay, and an overlay is what I just showed you. It's where you have like a background video, some green bar, and then you have like an overlay on top. You can do transcribe, and transcribe is what I was alluding to earlier, where I was saying, you can essentially have a talking head video just like me, and then you can slam a bunch of cool captions down there. If you've ever seen these YouTube shorts or TikTok reels or whatnot, a lot of the time they're either using Bannerbear or they're just using like Premiere Pro's built-in captioner. And then you can also do multi-overlay. Multi-overlay is where you're trying to weave together 3 or 4 clips instead of just one. So if you want to have like a 30-second video with 3 clips of 10 seconds each, you can kind of finagle that there. But because I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible, we're just going to be doing a sample video template, which includes just the overlay. So that's what I'm doing here back at this video template here. Once you create the video template, mine's just called video example. It'll populate underneath the video template section, and then you can just do all the same stuff that we were doing previously. There's an API console where you take an input media URL, a bunch of text, and that sort of thing. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you what a couple of these generations looks like. I went through, about 20 minutes ago, and I was recording the second half of this before my mic bugged out on me, and I generated a couple, and this was sort of what I came up with. Essentially, we have a video in the background, and then this overlay section is slightly darker, which allows us to see white text on a little bit better. And then there's an area for you to put like a logo or something. So what I did was I was like, I'm going to pretend that I'm a vacation company and I'm selling vacations or something. I'm company name logo down here. I didn't want to use real vacation company just because I heard that affects your monetization potential and that sort of thing. So I am now using example logos, the death of creativity. And then, maybe I'm just trying to advertise these vacations based off a big database of like new deals that come up for like a flight or something. You can visit Portland, Oregon for just $199. I don't know if this is Portland, Oregon. Now that I'm looking at it, it looks more like Europe to me. But why don't I change that in my new generation here? Anywho, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to listings, and then this looks pretty good. The image URL, I'm just going to change a video URL. Price, I'm going to change the image URL. We're going to need this for like the logo. Let's call this logo URL. And then we'll just have a text section, and then we'll just have a generated content link, same as before. And we're just going to go through this in more or less the same fashion. I'm going to populate this sheet with some content here. What I need is a video. Now, previously these were images. Previously I used Pexels for this, and I got a video from Alexander Bobrov before my mic bugged out on me. So I'm just going to get a different one. And maybe instead of, Portland, Oregon or something, now we're doing Niagara Falls. I don't know. I don't actually know where this is. This almost looks like the Great Wall of China or some crazy crap like that, but that looks pretty nice. What I've done here is I've gone to pexels.com, and Pexels is just like a free video and photo stock site. They do both. And then I'm going to download this here. Now, unfortunately, because of some quirks in how like MP4s are hosted, a lot of the time it's very difficult to do this. So I've created a Google Drive here called Bannerbear Test Content, and I'm just going to upload this video here. And essentially what we have to do is, because we're providing a URL of the content, we're not actually providing like oh geez, which one was it? 226. We're providing a URL to the content. We're not actually like uploading the content. We just have to make a couple of tweaks the way that we're hosting stuff on our own Google Drive. But as long as you get the content in a downloadable format, it's fine. It just doesn't work from Pexels directly. They probably have some rate limiting or something going on. So anyway, I've generated a Google Drive link here, and then I have to do some. I have to convert this link to a direct download link. The reason why is because if you're trying to use Google Drive to do this, notice how this generates like a preview, but it's not actually like to download the image. If I want to download the image, I have to click another button, which is this one here. And then this URL up here, this is my actual like download. So, another hack to do that is just to use this Google Docs to direct download link visibility, website. So I'm just giving this a right click. I'm going to share copy link, and then I'm pumping this in here. And you'll see that it just like moved the IDs around a little bit. And this is just, Google Drive's syntax for direct downloads. So, I wouldn't worry too much about that. The vast majority of your URLs are going to work. But, in our case, because I'm using this Google Drive, I sort of have to do it this way. Anyway, we're going to use this video example, and then the video URL I'm just going to paste in here. And I'm just going to hard code one row here instead of like 20 rows like I was doing before, or 3 rows, just because I want to make sure that I'm being cognizant of how many Bannerbear API credits I have. I think I'm probably like 1 or 2 more. I'm just going to type in example logo for the image. I just want something that looks kind of hotel-y. That previous one did not look hotel-y at all. Definitely don't use Starbucks. This example logo looks reasonable. Right-click, open a new tab. I have a JPG, which is good. And then I can just copy this URL and paste it in my logo URL column. The text, I'm going to say visit, oh man, I have no idea. Where would that possibly be? Let me do a shout out to my people. This could be some Bulgarian river somewhere. Visit Bulgaria from just, let's do $5.99. And because we're talking Europe here, why don't we slap a euro in there? How do I do a euro? Like this? Oops, let's not do that. Ooh, beautiful. Yeah, that looks kind of like Bulgaria. I went on a few hikes. I know what I'm talking about, surely. And then, yeah, we should have everything we need. We have the video URL, which is going to be that green background replaced with this. We have a logo URL, which is going to be that bottom left-hand corner image. And then the text is going to be white. So it should be good. Input media URL. What I have to do here is first of all, I have to cancel this. And I have to unlink this. And then you'll notice that there are some red circles around things. So I'm going to redo that. I'm going to run this module. And the reason why I'm going to run it is because I want to get the actual data. And then I'm going to connect this Bannerbear module. And it still has a red circle around it because you need to cancel this out. And then open it up again. And now we should have access to the Google Sheets data, which we now do. The input media URL is going to be this video URL. And then we're going to need to make a few changes under modifications. If you guys remember what we did previously with Bannerbear, we basically just looked to see what the variables were. So there are 3 variables here: input media URL, which we've already filled out, text, and then avatar. So I'm going to do one called text. I'm going to replace it with this text. Then I'll do one other modification, and I'll call it avatar. And I'll replace the image URL with this logo URL. And the only thing we need to do now is we just need to create another webhook flow. So I'm going to just copy this URL. Yeah, so let's do, so yeah, this was the video one. So I'm going to copy this webhook, and I'm just going to use it in the flow here. And now Bannerbear is going to send the completed result after this is done to this webhook URL. If you guys remember previously, we also had some metadata. So I think there was spreadsheet_ID. So I'm going to add in this spreadsheet ID. Then I'm also going to do row number and then I'm just going to feed in this variable or this number here. And then there's one final variable called trim to length in seconds. I'm just going to do 6 seconds. If you think about the generation time that Bannerbear will use versus when you're doing a video versus an image, it's going to be a lot more because an image is 1 frame and then a video is 24 frames per second. So I don't really want to spend an hour testing this, but obviously you can make the length whatever you want. Okay, should have everything done here. Let's go back to this webhook catcher, just verify that everything's good. So we have parsing JSON from the metadata. Then we're going to update a cell. The cell that we need to is if I go to the sheet name, it's vacations. So we're going to call this vacations. And then the row that I want is whatever the row number will be. So we're going to add that in, and then we'll do column D. So it'll be D and then row number, and then the value of that is going to be something called video URL here. Okay, that looks good to me. All right, so I'm going to run this now, and then I'm going to go back to this initial trigger module, and then I'm just going to give it a run. I'm going to click on this Bannerbear button here, and then you'll see the status change to rendering. That means that it's actually working right now. And so instead of it doing a photo request, we're doing a video request. But as I mentioned, it's going to take a lot longer because we're doing 24 frames a second times 6 seconds. My math ain't so good. 144. It's not going to take 144 times the length. They're a lot more optimal than that, but it's still going to take a lot longer. And then it'll go through and it'll update the cell. And so now we have a generated piece of content right over here. And just to be safe, I'm going to pause this immediately. Okay, great. And then I'll run it again. Yeah, that to me looks awesome. Now imagine you could procedurally generate 50 of these if you wanted to. It doesn't just have to be one, right? You could run the search rows or search sheet module every day. You could also, if you wanted to be fancy about it, you know how I call this a content calendar. You could have a date field. What month are we? 5. And you could have a bunch of different posts scheduled for different days. I don't know if there's another day in May, probably not. And then what you could do is, when you do the search, you could, for instance, set it so that, the date has to be equal to whatever the current date is. And the way that you do that is you just do like format date now, and then you just pump in whatever the format here, which I think was day, month, and then what, year. Hypothetically. And then this way, if you run it on a schedule so that it runs once a day, every day that this runs, it will only filter entries that have the date equal to the current date. So assuming you're doing 1 post per day, then you get this, you generate the content. Then maybe you could have like a posted column for like project management. Maybe a virtual assistant or somebody else in your team is going through this once a day and just like taking the generate content and posting. You can do so much with these sorts of flows. It's mind-boggling. But yeah, that's how you generate a video. Aside from that, no real nuances you need to know there. There are a couple of other modules here too, like update a video, where you could take a video that you have created previously and then change it. And then Bannerbear also has its own project management where you can approve a video and do a couple of other things. And then, you can also create an animated GIF down here, which is basically the exact same flow as what I mentioned in the video. It's just now you're setting a frame rate, essentially, in addition to what we were doing previously. And then you also have the opportunity to add individual frames, which is pretty neat as well. I really like Bannerbear. As I mentioned, extraordinarily simple, and there's just so much that you can do with it. Okay, thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate everybody that's either joined the community or even given me a small slice of their attention today on YouTube. The growth over the course of the last couple of months has been honestly quite shocking. I knew that I was delivering value, but I just didn't realize that it was impacting as many people as it has been. So I feel very blessed and very grateful to have been given this opportunity. And I'm looking to make the most of it for everybody in my community and everybody in my audience. If you guys have any more questions about this flow, just drop them down below as a comment. I'm more than happy to help you. If you guys have any comments or suggestions for future videos, I'm also more than happy to do them. I source most of my video ideas at this point from my audience. People just ask, hey, how do I do this? Or hey, how do I do that? And I'll literally just sit down and record a 45-minute or 50-minute video and then tag you with it. So pretty cool stuff. Other than that, please like, subscribe to the fun YouTube stuff. I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks so much.